Chapter 1: The Myth of Calorie Math. The first of the 3 calorie myths at the heart of our fat loss and health struggles is that calorie counting is required to avoid obesity and disease. Calorie myth number 1: weight loss equals calories in minus calories out. But reducing the human body to a simple mathematical equation doesn't work. Just as a healthy body automatically balances blood pressure and blood sugar within a normal range, a healthy body also automatically balances the intake and expenditure of calories within a normal range. However, when the body's healthy balance mechanism is broken down by low-quality foods, these otherwise unconscious functions become conscious and complex. We manage blood pressure with prescriptions. We regulate blood sugar with insulin injections. We track how many calories we eat and how many steps we take each and every day. We try to decipher food labels. We continue to get heavier and sicker while trying harder because the weight loss prescription we've been written is wrong. The problem is not a lack of calorie counting, pill popping, or insulin injections. Everyone was healthier and slimmer before anyone heard of those things. The problem is that something is breaking our biology and that we're trying to starve, stress, and medicate to address its consequences instead of fixing the biological breakdown itself. New heading: Complexity comes from misinformation. In June 2011, Barry Popkin and Kira Duffy, doctors at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, made a startling discovery. They discovered that the number of calories consumed per person per day increased by a jaw-dropping 570 calories between 1977 and 2006. At first glance, it appeared that they definitively demonstrated what many assumed to be the cause of our obesity, diabetes, and heart disease epidemics. We are eating too much. However, a second glance at their data reveals an even more startling discovery. If the average person is consuming 570 more calories than necessary per day, and if calorie counting math we hear about daily is accurate, then the average person should have gained 476 pounds since 2006. Let's do the math. 570 calories per person per day times 365 days in a year equals 208,050 calories. Multiply this by 8 years and we end up with 1,664,400 excess calories per person between 2006 and 2014. Divide 1,664,400 by the 3,500 calories in a pound of fat, and we get 476 pounds of fat per person. Is it possible that instead of asking, why are we getting fatter, we should be asking, why don't all of us weigh 600 plus pounds? What could possibly explain the huge disconnect between the quantity of calories we're eating and the quantity of fat we're gaining? Here are 3 possible explanations. 1, we're eating less. 2, we're exercising more. 3, the calorie math doesn't add up. Let's start with the first possible explanation. Did we avoid gaining 476 pounds because we cut calories dramatically after 2006? Obesity and lifestyle-related disease rates have continued their upward climb, so this doesn't seem likely. And if we look at the preceding few decades, this explanation just isn't possible. Since the late 1970s, we have gradually worked our way up to eating an additional 570 calories per person per day. But let's estimate that over those few decades, we each ate a more modest 300 additional calories per day. According to traditional calorie math, the average American should have gained 907 pounds of fat between 1977 and 2006. Let's do the math. 300 calories times 365 days in a year equals 109,500 extra calories per person per year. Multiply that by 29 years and we get 3,175,500 excess calories consumed per person between 1977 and 2006. 3,175,500 extra calories divided by 3,500 calories in a pound of fat equals 907 pounds of fat. It seems that we continue to consume more calories, but whatever prevented those excess pounds from causing everyone to gain 907 pounds between 1977 and 2006 also prevented each of us from gaining 476 pounds between 2006 and 2014. Let's look at a second possible explanation. Did we avoid a 476-pound weight gain because our level of physical activity increased dramatically from 2006 to 2014? This theory holds up only if the average person jogged for over an hour and a half every single day for the past 8 years. That's enough jogging to cross the entire United States 11 times. That didn't happen. This possibility also suffers from the same challenge as the first. The exercise explanation doesn't solve the question of how we avoided the previous 907-pound weight gain because, as we've all heard, we've experienced a drop in physical activity that is actually believed to be a major cause of the obesity epidemic. This leaves us with the third possible explanation, that we're better off thinking about weight in terms of biology, not math. We've gained only a tiny fraction of those 476 pounds because your body doesn't work like a calculator. Researchers at the University of Washington cite the role of a complex control system in the brain that adjusts the calories our body takes in and expends, both immediately as well as over the long term, to achieve homeostasis and keep our body energy status, or our weight, stable over time, similar to the way the body regulates insulin and blood sugar until the system is overwhelmed and breaks down, leading to type 2 diabetes. The body automatically regulates body fat until it is overwhelmed and breaks down, leading to overweight and obesity. Another way to think of it, much as we exhale more when we inhale more, or when we urinate more, when we drink more, we also burn more when we eat more and burn less when we eat less, automatically. Breaths in and breaths out, water in and water out, and calories in and calories out are matters of established human biology, not mythical metabolic math. This burn more when we eat more behavior explains how we've gained dramatically less than would be predicted by calorie math. The burn less when we eat less behavior explains why studies show traditional calorie counting approaches failing 95.4% of the time, and often provoking even greater rebound weight gain. When we put these two biologic behaviors together, we can see why every weight loss study ever conducted shows that when people are given a surplus or shortage of calories, they never gain or lose the mathematically anticipated amount of fat. The body just doesn't work that way. The math myth doesn't work because it assumes your body doesn't do anything to counterbalance your efforts to count calories. The fact is that your genes, brain, and hormones work together to maintain balance, or, as you were taught in high school biology, homeostasis. When it comes to weight, a healthy body automatically counts calories to maintain a level of fat that is neither too low nor too high. The average American consumes 1 million calories per year, yet weight changes very little, says Jeffrey M. Friedman, MD, PhD, head of the Laboratory of Molecular Genetics at Rockefeller University in New York. These facts lead to the conclusion that energy balance is regulated with a precision of greater than 99.5%, which far exceeds what can be consciously monitored. No one, no matter how meticulous he or she is with a food journal and a calculator and a calorie counting app, could ever get that close to perfect. Losing weight, more specifically losing fat, and keeping it off seems complex because common calorie counting approaches and tools fight this system. Traditional starve your way to success strategies may make for good television and short term results, but are sadly ineffective in the long term because we can't win battles against our own biology. For example, try to keep yourself from sleeping. Why is keeping yourself from eating treated any different? Of course, we can shave a few hours off our sleep, but that isn't sustainable or healthy. We could also temporarily lose weight by starving ourselves, but that isn't sustainable or healthy either. As soon as we learn how our body works and how to heal it rather than trying to override it via calorie counting, medication, and spending hours in the gym, you will never have to worry about your weight again. Achieving your health and fitness goals only appears complex because you have been given a whole lot of bad information and improper tools. New heading: Simplicity through Biology. Let's take one last look at how the math myth became ingrained in our culture. I like to compare our lack of progress on the nutrition front to the lack of progress we had on the tobacco front just a few decades ago. Smoking is a good example because it reflects the real world in the early 20th century, when the public was educated about cigarettes by the government and tobacco corporations rather than by the scientific community. Could you imagine how complex it would be to avoid lung cancer if we were told smoking was harmless? The modern world of nutrition, where the public is educated about eating and exercise by the government and food and fitness corporations rather than by the scientific community, is similar. Just as avoiding lung cancer is much easier once we know the primary cause, smoking, avoiding obesity, diabetes, and heart disease is much easier once we know the cause, eating the wrong quality of foods. However, none of this is possible until someone tells us that cigarette smoke isn't the same as fresh air and that 500 calories of non-fat potato chips aren't the same as 500 calories of sautéed spinach and grilled salmon. It would also be nice if someone acknowledged that eating less and exercising more to avoid obesity is like attempting to avoid lung cancer by inhaling less and exhaling more. We automatically avoided 98% of the weight we should have gained according to calorie counting because your body is designed to balance you out automatically. It doesn't want to be heavy and diabetic any more than it wants lung cancer. And just as we can more easily avoid lung cancer by avoiding smoking, we can more easily avoid obesity, diabetes, and heart disease by avoiding low quality, insane food. When we eat a lot of sane, high quality food, your set point takes care of everything else automatically, just as it has successfully done for every other generation that has ever lived. New heading: The final nail in the calorie counting coffin. In his 2009 article in the journal Cell Metabolism, Brent Weiss, MD, of the Diabetes and Obesity Center of Excellence at the University of Washington noted, prior to the discovery of the hormone leptin, obesity was thought to result more from a lack of willpower than from an underlying biological disorder. Now, 15 years after leptin's discovery, a much different picture on how obesity occurs is beginning to emerge. So, even being conservative, we can say that the calorie counting approach was considered obsolete by scientists back in 2009. And that's being generous. Actually, way back in 1990, Wayne Miller, PhD of the Department of Kinesiology at Indiana University, ran a clinical study of the relationship between body fat, energy intake, and exercise and came to the same conclusion. There was no relationship between energy intake and body fat. The bottom line is that you don't have to worry about regulating life-sustaining bodily functions. That's your brain's and hormones' job. The appetite control center of your brain, the hypothalamus, regulates body weight by precisely balancing the foods you eat, the energy you burn, and the amount of fat on your body. You don't have to decide to eat less and exercise more. In fact, says Jeffrey M. Friedman, that simplistic notion is at odds with substantial scientific evidence that the set point is a precise and powerful biologic system that maintains body weight within a relatively narrow range. To achieve long-term health and fitness, you need to lower the relatively narrow range, where Dr. Friedman tells us our precise and powerful biological system operates. In order to do that, you need to find out what specifically causes the set point to rise and how to lower it.